your name? Amanda. Nice to meet you, Amanda. You haven't set this up before and all of this. Okay. This is an ESP pack. So it's a pack of ESP cards actually taken from the Ryan Research Centre. If you just want to display those out and show them to the audience, just so they can see there's lots of all the different shapes. You can see you've got circle, square, star, cross, loads of different shapes there. Okay? Should we get somebody to shuffle them? This gentleman here. Can you shuffle them? Give him a quick shuffle. And then I think what we're going to try, I've never done this before, especially without any rehearsal, but what I'd like to do is once you've shuffled them, if you take the top card, actually, no, that's forcing you to take a card. What I'd like you to do is just pick any card, right? I'll turn away, I'll move out of the way. If you pick any card, you show it to the audience, and then what I'd like you to do is just place it on your forehead and just focus on that, okay? And when you've got it on your forehead, you just let me know, then I'll come back, okay? So if you want to touch, I don't want to touch the cards because then it looks like it's some sort of trick, and that's not what we're doing. It's a psychology exercise. I'm going to walk away now. I'm going to stand out of the way over here by the curtain. If you pick whichever one you want, you can put the rest of the pack on the table if you like. Okay? And when you have the card on your forehead, obviously not showing you what the symbol is. Are you ready? Okay. And everybody got, and it's very difficult because they're quite small, but everybody got a general idea. So if you face me, just, I don't want to look behind it or be accused of looking behind it. And if you just hold it just like that, just with one finger, don't be blocking it in any way at all. Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question now. I don't want you to tell me at all, obviously, what the symbol is, but did you choose a particular shape because you liked that particular shape? Or did you just choose a random shape? You couldn't choose that. You couldn't see the shapes at all. They're upside down, so you don't even know what shape you've got there. Okay, but it was just a random then. There was no connection at all. It was just a completely random. Okay, I'd like you to focus on it. Okay, are you focusing on it? And maybe if the rest of the audience can focus too, I'm going to ask you some questions. Like Billy said, I'm trying to get the psychology of it. Okay? What I'd like you to do is think about the shapes in front of you. So think about the star, the cross as well, the square, the circle, and the wavy lines. They're all here, right? Don't try not to give anything away. Star, okay. What I'd like to do, I think, is remove the star. I don't think we're looking at a star here. And you've got, okay, here you've got circle, square, wavy lines, cross. Circle, square, wavy lines, cross. Very difficult. Circle, square, wavy lines, cross. I'm going to take the cross away as well. And so now we're left with the circle. I'm going to get rid of the circle too. I'm going to get rid of the circle. Do you want to get rid of the circle? You can lie. Okay, we're just going to stick with the square and the wavy lines. Okay, the square and the wavy lines. Now, even though it's a subconscious choice, it was completely just by chance. You've got a lot of circles, you've got a circular necklace there, a lovely ring. I would have expected you to pick a circle, and but this is a random choice. And so we're not dealing with a circle, because otherwise that would be the one that you would pick. It's a random choice, but then again, it could be 50-50. It could be the circle, it could be the wavy lines. You're not giving anything away. In fact, think of the one that it isn't. Is this the wavy lines? It is. Thank you very much. Thank you. Billy asked me to do some psychology, trying to divine what was the symbol that this lady was thinking of by using some sort of psychology. Now, is it psychology? Have I just used psychology in that particular scenario? I can tell you this wasn't set up before, and if you speak to the lady in the interval, it wasn't set up before, so there's no situation with a plant or rehearsal, that sort of thing. But was it psychology? It could have been. She could have been giving something away about the symbols. Or it could have been a simple trick. But it wasn't telepathy. It definitely wasn't telepathy. And that's what I'm here to, it's an awful word, but in a way, preach. I'm a scientist, and I'm trying to say that there are lots of alternative explanations for what we see in terms of mediumship and also psychic readings. There's this terrible phrase called cold reading, which I know Billy hates, but it's a favourite of mine, and it's this ability to be able to get information from people, just the way they react to your questions, perhaps the way they're dressed as well. It's more to do with observation than anything else, and perhaps later on I'll actually do some cold reading. In addition, there are other things. Sensory linkage being another one, getting the information beforehand, vagueness, ambiguity, population stereotypes, volume of information, belief. There's publicity issues with some mediums, the motivation, what are they really in it for? Things called multiple outs. And lastly, the word that I know the majority of mediums and psychics hate, this idea of fraud. But it's something we have to tackle. They are a subsection of the population, and unfortunately the representation we see of psychics and mediums is that there are a bunch out there that are deliberately fraudulent. But let me focus on a couple of those problems that I said. I won't do them all because I don't want to bore you to death. I know some of you are waiting for Billy to come out. But some of them. Here's an example of what's called multiple outs. And this is a magic term, but essentially it means that no matter what you say, there are multiple outs, there are multiple answers, there are multiple interpretations. And so here's an example, a genuine example, of a psychic saying, I've got this information about a legal matter. There's something legal going on around you at the moment. And the response from the client is, golly, I'm sure they said something a bit worse than that, but golly, yes there is. How could you possibly have known about that? Well, your stunned response could be as a result of any of the following. You're about to take a law exam, you were stopped for speeding and given a fine, you're seeing a solicitor, you complained about something to your local trading standards office, and lastly, you robbed the local post office. A bag of cash is hidden under a bed. Multiple outs, you can interpret it in many different ways, and that's just one example. Of course, there could be other questions I could ask, of which there are multiple interpretations of. What I'd like to do now, though, is maybe take a little bit of a devil's advocate step before I wrap up. There's been a psychic who's been involved in my research when I was employed at Liverpool Hope, but then afterwards when I moved down to Toulouse University, which is where I'm based now. And occasionally I've done some work with this psychic who specialises on personality, looking at people's personality. And kind of as a little bit of test to see how they get on, what I wanted to do is see if they could pick up on the personality of certain members of the audience tonight. There are a few people who I got first names of, some people who I knew were here, and then other people in terms of their first names. The psychic offered the first names and said, I think these particular people are going to be there. So they've got prepared readings. So I've got a number of readings that I'm going to give out to people.